Uh, yeah, 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 uh.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me is a guy that got to see another sectional goal in person. It's Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. How do you enjoy that gold person, Elliot?
I did not. I had to watch it
You,
over a
you,
live
you
stream.
don't like goals in person, Elliot?
I love goals in person. I just had to be at an engagement party.
I thought we were your real friends.
You are, but my wife comes first. Happy wife, happy
Mm.
life.
Mm.
And also joining me is a guy that has over 20, 30 acres of land and he cuts out every time I introduce him. It's Mr. Chenier Duran the second. Or are you just a grandpa now? I don't know how to go about the second.
We'll come
Well,
back to him.
yeah, we'll come back to Chenier. Matt, how are you doing, man? Everything's good. How was the weekend?
Doing good. Last 8 days, got to see the Kickers 3 times in person. Uh, Life is good right now. Stacking points, advancing in tournaments. Things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, they are. Chenier, it's great to have you back with us.
Yeah, sorry about that. Signal's not too great out here.
For those who
Yeah.
don't know, Chenier
Uh,
lives in East Bumba, wherever.
No, he doesn't. West.
Yeah, West. They're right. West. Get my directions right. Should we talk about the U.S. Open Cup game first, or should we hop into this NoCo game? How you guys
Uh,
want to do this?
let's start with the Open Cup game because a couple key things happen there that lead into Saturday.
Yeah. All right. So Richmond went up 95 to Leesburg, Virginia. Played Northern Virginia FC, who was in USL League Two. Real quick, what was your guys' thoughts on the game? For me, it's a very physical game. The Kickers kind of controlled it, but I'm a little disappointed at the lack of tempo at certain moments. But what were you guys' thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I thought Darren was clearly went in with a very clear plan. That plan was more to balance minutes than anything else. So you saw probably more first team guys than a lot of us would have expected in that game. You saw Zaka start, you saw Ani start, you saw Stu start. You had Neil in there a good portion of the way, but he was able to rotate other guys in. None of the defenders played 90 minutes on last weekend and midweek. So Cole came in late in the game last week. He played 90 this weekend. Payne and Stu, they switched out at halftime for each other. Simon Fix played a full 90. But you saw other guys cycle in as well. Neil got pulled in second half. So overall, Zach is the only guy other than Akira who played 180 during those 2 games. So I thought Darren was really mindful with that, and I think a lot of those stuff are probably pre-planned more than anything else, minus Emmy coming in at the end, which was necessitated.
Yeah, that seemed like kind of what the deal was. It was kind of like, all right, let's give the guys who didn't feature on the first game, give them some minutes, bleed in the starters if we really have to. Maybe just give some guys some fine 2 minutes, but didn't really seem all that much. I mean, outside of the goal, we'll talk about that. Chenier, what were your thoughts in the game? Let me ask you that since you're back with us now.
well, that Nova game was a little. To me, it was a little weird. Um, yeah, we see like we said, it was a heavily rotated squad. There were probably about 3 guys that started. The 3 field players that had started on last Saturday against Tucson. Um, but I mean, to be honest with you, I was actually quite impressed with the way Nova played. They played pretty well. They gave us a bit of a difficult time. They had us on the back foot at certain points in the game, but for the most part.
Yeah, I'll dispute the had us on the back foot part of things, being there. At the game, guys at that level, they can still play. They have skill. What
Yeah.
the real difference is the athleticism. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that sort of thing about, oh, well, yeah, athleticism. It's just such an American soccer thing to kind of think about. But it is, what kind of starts to make the difference at the margins, because if you can play at a collegiate level, you can play at semi-pro level, you have the ball skill. Maybe it's not the same level, but you can play. But even watching the guys go against each other, our guys were that little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker across the board. They had a good game plan, but that's why we saw the kickers have over 60% possession, which we never see in regular play at all. By design a little bit, but there's that. I think that's the kind of cutting edge. I think you could fit maybe any singular Nova FC player into the kicker squad, but we have all of them maybe at a little bit of a deficit on just the raw athleticism. It starts to catch up with the team overall.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I think you made the perfect analogy. I think it was last year. I'm like, there's a reason why these guys are at League One. There's a reason why these guys are at League Two. It's like they might have the ability, but like the processing speed of it, or like them understanding what they need to do is just a little bit slower.
Yeah, or they're just a step slow.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you are what you are sometimes.
Yeah, no, very true. Very true. Real quick, the goal. Very nice goal from Matt Bentley on the right-hand side, kind of slotted it across the face of the goal to David Olsen, who, for those who didn't know, so I'm not going to lie, I really thought I thought Olsen was 22, 23. Turns out he's 26. Scored his first goal in what, 2 years?
He has 3 or 4 since he was back playing for Sounders 2 back in the day.
So yeah, that's insane. Shanera, you finally back with us.
Yeah. Hopefully my phone does better.
Hope it does. Folks, this is why we need you to support us. Check out the website, our writings. 1 penny a day could give Shanera better internet.
We're going to start playing Sarah McLachlan over top of the podcast now.
Pretty much. Anytime Shanera talks, we're going to start pouring out. Just have Biddy walk around with like a tin cup at kickers games. Like,
yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
I mean, I think that I'm pretty sure that song is from the 90s. They're playing 90s music all the time at the stadium now for 30th anniversary.
I know, right?
It fits. Loving that, by the way. Living up the old stuff. But Bentley was just tearing the Nova FC left back a new one that whole first half. So it wasn't a surprise to me that the goal ended up coming from over there. I think they did a good job of connecting throughout the game. Olsen looks like a really good center forward option after Emmy. A guy who just likes to be able to get in there, get into the right spot. He's not looking for glory goals. He's looking for dirty goals a lot of times, at least what we've seen so far. And they all count the same. So if he loves to live in that spot, I'm here for it. Great hair. I think he's right up there with Ethan for hair of the team this season. I guess Bentley has a unique look rocking as well. But those two guys I think were really the driving force for the first half, and it's good to see them be able to get out there and start to build a connection, because I think we'll see those two have to partner up again down the road, whether that's Open Cup or even sometimes in league play.
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of good to kind of build those bonds early on. So that was that game. The draw happened on Friday. The game was when the draw happened on Friday. We were in the same pot with Greenville, Chattanooga, Greenville, Charlotte FC, and North Carolina Fusion U23, who also used to be known as Carolina Dynamo. Good Lord, that is a handful. I know there was some conversations. There was kind of like you had one side of the group that was kind of like, oh, we want the MLS team now. And then another side of the group that was like, give us NC Fusion. That's what we drew. Drew NC Fusion. Guys, what are your thoughts on the draw and how is this game going to possibly play out. We won't go super in depth with it. Be on the lookout for a written piece about this team coming up soon on the website. But just real quick, what are your thoughts on the draw and the matchup?
Yeah, so this is a long overdue rematch, actually, in the Open Cup. So way back in the day, 2006, back when they were Carolina Dynamo, we played them in the Open Cup early on. So this is the first season after we dropped down from USL 1 to USL, what was called USL 2 at this point, which is the equivalent of current day USL League 1. Very confusing with all the names. I get it. But it was basically the same setup, Division 3 versus top amateur league. And they got us that day. Our 2016, they went on to win the league that year. Got upset, 1-0 by them, which stopped us from having a 2005 USL 1 final rematch against Seattle in the next round, which would have been super fun. So, 16 years later, out for revenge, which I'm sure all the guys on the team are above and aware of.
Sure, I didn't mean to remove you on purpose. That was totally by accident.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was pretty much done.
Okay. I was just gonna say. When you have, I know that's very far back, but an under 23 team can be really tricky. A lot of times people will expect, oh, it's an under 23 team. We should be able to roll them over, but an under 23 team is full of a bunch of guys that are trying to prove themselves. It's full of a bunch of players that are the next up and coming. So you don't know, you can get a mixed bag. And that leaves us in a situation where we're not quite sure what we're going to be up against if we go up against this fusion squad, this U23.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what this matchup and how Derek kind of treats it, knowing that it's kind of in a tricky spot. You're just coming off the road from Chattanooga, then you got the Monday night game against Charlotte, and then later on that week, you got the Henny Derby with Fort Madison. But we won't look too far ahead because Darren, who's probably listening to this podcast, is already upset because we're talking about a game that has not happened yet.
Yeah, but the other reason I'm not too concerned about this game is because there's video on them now.
Yeah.
You can be able to go back, see what the Charlotte game is. The guys will be aware that, hey, these guys already knocked off a team in our league. They can go if necessary. Yeah. But also we're going to be at home this time around. So yes, the kicker should be a sturdy favorite in this one, and I don't think Darren's going to go easy on it because he knows that you get through this game, the astronomical odds that you're going to get an MLS team in the next round, which I think is what anyone in this league is going to be aiming for. And we were talking about this, at the game on Saturday about how, all right, with that draw, would have been cool, Charlotte, as long as it was here. I didn't have any interest in going to them. I want an MLS team at City Stadium. So if we couldn't get that, give me the easiest option available, which was Fusion, and especially Fusion at home.
Yeah, most definitely. It would have been cool. I think Charlotte would have had to came here because, funny enough, they can't host a U.S. Open Cup game in the next round because Billy Joel is going to be in concert. So they would have to be on the road regardless. So they would have had to come here. It would have been cool. I probably would have been sleeping on the couch, but that's another story for another day.
Well, if we know you would have been excited about it because how many Charlotte FC games have you been to this year?
2.
How many games have you been to this year?
But I still would have been on the couch because I totally would have pulled for Richmond and not Charlotte, and my wife wasn't having that.
Okay,
wasn't having that. Guys,
I was going to say actions. Speaking louder than words, right here, Elliot.
And one argument you can always push to your wife is, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at.
Yeah, no.
I don't know about that one either.
Yeah, no.
You can't change teams because you move.
Yeah, no. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's dive into this next one. We got NOCO. They came to Richmond. Apparently, they're going to be in a row for the next 8 or 10 games because their stadium still is being worked on.
Yeah.
For those of you who know NOCO is Northern Colorado Hailstorm, and the latest team in the league. It just coming off of a big win off of the U.S. Open Cup. They beat Colorado State Springbacks in USL Championship, a 1-0 win in extra time. We always happen to be a derby. What was your guys' thoughts on this game? Well, not on this game. Let's start it off. What was your guys' thoughts when you saw the initial lineups and first opening minutes of the games?
With the lineups, it was
Yeah.
all crap because there was one notable change.
Yeah.
That we just flew past in the Open Cup, discussion. So, key player Jonathan Bolaños nowhere to be seen, in the team on Saturday because he got injured on Wednesday, and wasn't available. Suspect he was probably in the concussion protocol because he took a nice hit to the head and upper body on Wednesday that took him out of the game about 10 minutes after coming in. So he wasn't available. Bentley, went right into the lineup, into the right wing spot. Bolduc slipped over to the left. Otherwise, it was the same thing we saw the previous week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much same thing. Shanir, any thoughts from you, my man? How do you think the opening minutes of this game went?
The opening minutes, I would say probably the first 10 minutes were a little shaky from us. They had a really, really good chance that we got lucky on, a combination of luck and great reflexes from Akira, which is no surprise. He always pulls out at least one of these every game. For him to literally have to change direction mid dive in order to make a save, and it seems like it took the kickers a little bit of time to kind of get themselves into the game. I think it was a situation of we didn't quite know what to expect, and with that, you saw this kind of lack of real lack of, basically they weren't quite sure of what they were going up against.
I mean, a little bit, I think. I think we saw, the kickers. I don't want to say revert back because that sounds bad, but it was a little bit more classic Sawatsky kickers in nature. Of we weren't as ball dominant as we'd been the other two games because we were playing a lot better team than we've played the last two games. So you're still seeing a lot of the classic try to play quick hitters on the break. How many times do the guys find Bentley this game out on the right to try to go after Colorado's young kid on loan from Louisville Dam out there, and he tore him up to the point where they flipped their left backs. I mean, they flipped their outside backs just that way they could get that kid off of Bentley and give themselves a chance in that matchup. So. North Carolina had more of the ball, but I don't think it was anything that out of the ordinary for the most part. But they did a lot of good stuff with the ball. They're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be right up there in contention all year.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at this lineup, honestly, if you watch USL League One over the course of years, you'll recognize a lot of names. Brick Evans, Full, Vandercourt Decker. I think they got Marky Hernandez on the bench.
Yeah, they got Lachlan McLean up front.
Yeah. It's a lot of guys who have USL League One experience, a lot of guys who had good moments at the expense of the kickers. Ivan Power was no slouch. Donzo, Ulysses was on his Richmond Kickers team. Granted, now he didn't play for us at any point, really, but, still some experience being around guys and whatnot. I think Darren played it safe, just saying, all right, there's no real footage of the team because even if you go look at the U.S. Open Cup game, it's 27 minutes of them being a full squad. Ira Power gets the red card, then they go to 10 men, and they kind of just park the bus until the breakaway goal happens at extra time. So you probably can't pull too much footage on that on how they play. And I think Darren played it safe. Now, the goal, perhaps, I probably looked at this thing like 6 times because when I first initially watched it, I got upset. I was like, well, why isn't someone close them down? And then when I went back and watched it, I'm like, I don't know if anyone can. What do you guys think about it? Do you think it's just one of those goals where it's like you tip your hat to him and be like, yo, that's a great shot?
Yeah, that goal was it was very well played and also very quick. Especially with the attacking midfielder Dedune coming down that left side, and the quick pass to Donsovilis to cross the ball in first time. I think the play was so quick, and for Decker to receive that ball first touch, very great first touch, which literally cushioned the ball and put it exactly where he needed it to be without any time wasted. It didn't really give our guys enough time to basically kind of react to it. And you could even see Akira didn't even come off his line. He didn't even dive for it.
Yeah, and I think it's a deceptively good goal, too, because Elliot, the first time you see it, you're like, "What the hell, guys? Come on!"
Right.
But when Vanek or Decker's receiving it, he takes that touch, but he's moving backwards and still is able to propel the ball forward, for the shot. So I'm not sure how he works the physics of his body to be able to do that, but he literally brings it down and he's moving backwards, while still facing forwards, and on that next touch, able to get enough power on it to be able to find the corner. I mean, it wasn't a rocket or anything, but there's no way anybody could realistically stuck him unless they're playing touch tight marking the whole way, which would probably be a little foolish on a play like that to begin with.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those goals where it's just like that's a good goal.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you got to tip your hat off to him.
Right.
Yeah, post-game interviews, Jalen even gave him credit for that. He thought they might have been able to do a little bit better on the approach and everything, but he said, pick the corner. It'll happen sometimes.
Yeah, it does. But I will say this: I think one of the biggest improvements between this team and the team of last year that I like so far is that initial 5 minutes after a goal happens. The kickers, it didn't seem as if the kickers kind of sulked their way. It was like, oh man, let's kind of force to pick ourselves back up. No, they were automatically back on it. It was a couple of good moments. I want to definitely give a shout out to Payne on that right back spot. I mean, not granted, none of his crosses connected with anyone, but there were some dangerous, quick, low, and mid-height crosses that he did. He did a really good job out of that spot. It's something that we sort of been lacking for a while.
Yeah, I think if there's any point of concern from the first half, I think more of this is going to come from just the quality that NOCO had, but being able to watch out for the transition defending. Essentially, NOCO is really good about finding the right spots and the right runs to be able to make for some pretty dangerous looking attacks at goal. Coming off of quick breaks, so kept on seeming like the ball would pop up in the midfield, and one of their guys would be on the ball, and all of a sudden they're running right at us. Kind of even numbers, 4v4, something like that. So that was a little troubling from my perspective right there. But I think part of that might just be playing a well-drilled team who kept on knowing what angles, what lanes to fill, and being able to thrive in that situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think it was just, this is a team that's kind of like an offensive juggernaut. They're kind of, how can I equate this? They're kind of almost like North Texas 2019. Not saying they're going to reach that level, but kind of like the offensive power they have. But they're still trying to figure out the defense. Because it's very easy to get behind NOCO in certain modes because how many numbers they push forward when they're on the attack.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, they look good, but they don't look infallible by any means. And we saw that late in the first half. We saw that in the second half of some of the chances that the kickers were able to create against them. They weren't necessarily world beater chances, but they were relatively routine quality chances. And you can potentially make the argument that Richmond should have scored more than one, but I think it's also fair to say that Northern Colorado could have scored more than one.
Yeah, no, I think I saw the XG on this one was roughly the same. It was 1.7, 1.27, 1.37. So it was roughly the same. Good quality chances. Second half, I'll say this. I think the kickers definitely improved. I think they got a little bit better with holding on to the ball and not giving it away so loosely, knowing how NOCO was going to come out and play. I think there were still dangerous moments. I think EVD, he still had one. I forget what minute it was, but Akira had to make like a great save on it.
Yeah, it's pretty early in the half. He got open along the right side. Decent look. A save you would expect Akira to make, but still one that he had to make.
Yeah, still a very decent save. But the goal came from not an unexpected player, but I would say an underrated type of goal from him. A header from Emiliano Trezeguet coming off of a throw-in corner that got deflected into Emiliano's path.
When deflected kind of takes credit away from Jalen Chrysler.
Okay, I couldn't tell who that was. I didn't know if it deflected off of a no-go player. It just hit into him.
No, that again, we had a chance to talk to Jalen during the post-game interviews. That's a play that they've been working on, in training. So Ani, he's clearly our long throw guy. This year, a little unfortunate that it's him because he's also just a tree that could be more likely to get on them. But hey, you take the skills where they come.
Yeah.
But he was able to launch that throw from deep downfield. Found Jalen among all the trees in there. A nice little flick on header. Found Emmy probably 8 to 10 yards from goal, center of the goal. He was able to just head it home. Put it right back across the goal and into the corner. Keeper didn't really have anything he could do about it.
Yeah, no, it was a wonderful goal from Emmy. Definitely. Also, I just want to say the photo of Emmy running up to the Red Army, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was.
That's a classic.
Oh, yeah, that was
the celebration a little bit. Like, it wasn't just a regular run over. Like, he was getting hyped.
Yeah. That's a classic, like, photo. That's a classic photo. Any last thoughts, but what are you guys' final thoughts in this game? I mean, kind of after the 79th minute, not too much happened. It was kind of like,
Team was went ahead like 2 or 3 minutes right after the goal. We had that break right up the right side. Bentley was able to get around his defender, play the ball in, and Bolduc, positioned a little weird, so he had to go for the the glory, kind of spinning back heel into the goal. It was going in the right direction. I don't know if it would have had enough power to get there, but the defender was able to clean that up anyway. It's one of those where you can't help but think that if it's Emmy in that spot, he somehow finds a way to get that ball in just because
it's Emmy.
What he does.
Just because it's Emmy. Yeah, it's just Emmy.
That's all.
Right, but at that moment, getting another potentially golden-looking chance so quick after that, started to feel really good about the team's chances of being able to get the second goal and come out of that with all 3 points. It wasn't to be, but yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys this: how impressed are you so far with Matt Bentley? I mean, granted, let's see. I think he's the only attacker thus far. No, he's not. That's not true. He's not the only one to play in all 3 games, but he's played a big part in all 3 goals. First game got a goal. This game got an assist. This game almost had another assist. How do you guys think he's doing so far in the team?
I like what he's shown us so far. I really, really like what he has shown us so far. Now, all I want to know is their consistency, because at the end of the day, he's showing us that he's fitting in just fine. Can he be consistent? Can he keep that up? Hopefully the answer is yes. It looks like the answer is probably yes. And I'm hoping like hell it's yes, because what he brings takes a lot of the pressure off of Terzaghi. What he brings also gives other teams we go up against something else to think about and another headache to deal with. That for me, when I'm watching the game, when I'm playing the game, when I'm coaching the game, my thought is what is going to make the defense's life a living hell. And when you already have Terzaghi, who's a fox in the box, and then you throw in Bentley, you're looking at a situation where the kickers can really, really put up some numbers this year. So I really like what Bentley has shown us so far. Hopefully he can keep it up throughout the season.
Yeah, it's a good start. I think there's still actually a lot of room for improvement, to be totally honest. He's producing on the score sheet, which obviously it's a results-oriented game, so that's good. Want to continue to see that, but it looks to me like he's still learning to play the winger role. and it's been more on the right side, which I think is fine. He looks a little uncomfortable when he's out left. Still, and that can be worked on. Bolaños didn't look as comfortable his first year out on the left as he does these days. But I think getting used to thinking in that way, because sometimes even when he's looking for some of the, trying to decide, do I try to dribble this guy? Do I look for the pass? He get caught in possession a little bit. So while it's been a good start, I think the good news is there's a lot more room to grow. There's a much higher ceiling potentially there, and we haven't even seen him play in the middle of the field yet at all. So I think between him and David Olson, there's going to be potentially reliable options in this center forward position if Emmy needs a rest at some point, if he gets suspended because he likes to pick up yellow cards, whatever the case might be.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm really impressed with him. I think the forward options so far have really worked out. Hopefully they can keep up this momentum and things can work out smoothly. That's all I got on that game. Great. I knew I had to cough. All right. We move on to this Saturday's game against a team that has given us a lot of troubles, but we slowly, getting over the top over them. Is Chattanooga Red Wolves. They're coming off a. Have you guys seen the goals in this game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chattanooga had 4 shots on goal. 3 of them were worldies, and another one hit the crossbar.
It's North Carolina.
Also, so I made the point to Ebony. For those who know, Ebony is a North Carolina supporter and also helps run the American Outlaws. I told her Olex is still not one on that field yet. She's
yeah.
But yeah, so Chattanooga, just give a real quick breakdown of their results. 1-1 draw before Madison opened up the season. 1-0 loss to Louisville in the USL Championship, and then a
3-1
win over North Carolina. Guys, what are you expecting from this game? We know it's going to be very physical. We know it's going to be Chattanooga pressing us like crazy, and Jimmy Obleda with his tuna and peanut butter sandwiches making things difficult. What are you guys expecting from this?
I think this is going to be our first real test to see what this team has, because we know what this team can do at City Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be at City Stadium. And last year, look, the reason the team didn't get a home game in the playoffs is because they were crap on the road, pretty much the whole year. So if this team wants to be able to, move on up the standings, they have to get better on the road, because there's not many more points to take away from the home schedule than there was last year. So can you turn there's frequent heartbreaking losses in Chattanooga into draws or even wins? I think that's going to be the key thing, is just how does this team come out? How do they react to playing somewhere outside of City Stadium? How do they react to playing on who knows what quality turf that is at this point there?
Oh, goodness.
What you guys in there?
I mean, Chattanooga is one of our bogey teams. They're one of those teams that we can't seem to catch a break against.
I wouldn't even call them the bogey team. I would just call them the goddamn boogeyman at this point.
Yeah.
We beat them last time we played them.
Yeah. But boogeyman.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, I'm just hoping that with a new look of the squad, we're looking at a situation where we might be on a different level. We might be playing a completely different type of game against Chattanooga, and hopefully we can get a good result. Like Matt says, we need to see how this team reacts away from home in the league, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and they've refreshed their squad quite a bit too. I mean, they lost some guys, but they brought in some other players who seem to be making a bit of an impact as well so far. So as with anything in this league, yes, you can look at some past results, but very few teams are, consistent enough year to year to be able to have past results be really indicative of future results.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we know how Jimmy Obleda is. It's going to be physical. It's going to be a game where I feel like it's going to be that Nova game, just on a better quality. And the kickers are going to have to, I want to see how the kickers respond to it. It's going to be interesting. But, guys, what's up? I was wondering, what's up?
Sorry. No, just talk.
Shouldn't All right. We got like 2 listener questions in. They actually got emailed to us. So that's pretty cool. If you got any listener questions, you can send them our way. We'll make sure to answer them on the show. First question is, do you feel like Nathan Ani brings out the best in Jalen Chrysler versus Avon last year?
First of all, who asked the question? Let's give them their shine.
Oh, this question comes from, what's the name? Oh, Red Lover 23. That's weird.
Of course.
All right,
exactly who I thought it was from. Yeah. They're a different partnership, I think. I don't know if it's too early to say better or worse, but they have a lot of the same strengths. I mean, they're both the big boys. They're both 6'4", 6'5", depending on what measurements you want to believe and everything. So we're going to probably get a lot more dominance out of the air. I think the question is, building it out of the back. How is that going to work out the same way? Because Yvonne got to be really good at being kind of the go-to outlet for building out of the back last year. Obviously, he's not here anymore. So can Ani be able to fill that role? Is Jalen going to have to pick up that piece of it a little bit more? Dakota, I still think he might slide back into that role next to Chrysler once everybody gets healthy again. But how do the 3 of them partner up over the course of the year? So it's a good question. I mean, so far Jalen's played well, so it's hard to say that Ani's hurting him in any way. But I think it's a little too soon to say if he's maybe bring out the best in him.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same degree. I think it's a different partnership. I think Ani is definitely way more aggressive.
Absolutely.
We saw that in the U.S. Open Cup game. But Ani is still a little bit raw certain moments. I think you can get a little bit better at passing the ball, like just kind of spreading it out, maybe with the long balls. But it was a little bit more aggressive, I would say. I think now Jalen is trying to be that distributor, but I think he's also trying to work on that as well.
Yeah, I guess if there's one question I would have about that pairing is maybe just like the quickness side of things, because Yvonne wasn't necessarily fast, but he was quick at times. So I don't. That might be just a little bit of inherent size bias, thinking big guys can't be quick. So I could be wrong on that one, and just it is built-in bias that the big guys are the big oafs back there who you can head and play physical but can't move. Obviously, not true if they made it to this far to begin with, but
no,
wrong, guys, please.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. I mean, we haven't seen them test with it yet, but who knows? I mean, it could definitely happen. Next question we got is from Chris. So far, what was it? Oh, so far, Neil Bologna's looked to be pulling the strings and attacking everything. What has been the biggest change for him so far this year?
You want this one, Chenier?
I don't know. Chenier's here. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, go for it. I'll chime in after you.
All right. Yes, I definitely agree. I think Neil has definitely had the biggest boost so far of the team. I think he's in a comfortable spot. What was it? Thursday. He talked about how he started off as a number 8 and transitioned to 6. And last year he was learning how to transition from at 6 to 8, and now he's going from an 8 to a 10. And last year he was still learning that transition part of it. I think now he looks very comfortable in that number 10 spot, kind of be in the middle of the park. Because I think he also knows, like, I'm not the quickest guy, but I'm very technical. I'm very good at moving the ball around. I think the biggest thing for Neil to do is just, 1, stay confident, and 2, get the ball off his quick get the ball off his foot quickly, but making sure that it's dangerous when he has those touches. But yeah, he's definitely improved the most so far, in my opinion.
I think it's been playing well thus far. I think part of it is just familiarity with the guys he's playing around now. Emmy talked about this post game that they've had time to be able to practice and get used to where each other wants to be and receiving the ball, how they like to play together. And second year with these guys now for Vignoles, there's more of that built-in knowledge, just like anything else. When you work together for a while, you know what somebody's likely to be able to do. It's a lot more predictable for you, so you can be able to start to realize, all right, hey, I'm Neil. I know Emmy likes to be able to receive the ball on his left foot in this kind of situation. Let me make sure I'm putting it there specifically for him. He knows, all right, if Zach is in trouble, he's more likely to turn the ball to his right. Let me make sure I'm in a position where I can give him an easy outlet at that point. So I think part of it's just the familiarity because the skill's still there. Right? The skill is never the question out of any of this. It's getting that confidence, it's building that familiarity, and I think having a full preseason, the guys too helps out. He got hurt last preseason, and it took him a few games to get back in the team and back up to speed.
Yeah, no, you're right. The thing I Neil talked about it on Thursday as well is he's really put himself in a position. I think Darren has trusted him as well as kind of being that focal point of the team, taking some of the creative responsibilities off of Emmy and kind of dispersing it. Because really, he's at the center of everything that's going to happen positive with this team, attacking wise at most points, as it seems. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So, hopefully, this is a good time for the season to come.
Yeah, Shanir, what's your thoughts on this question, man? Has Neil improved the most from this year to from last year?
I think improved isn't the word. Settled in is more so what has happened with him. In my opinion, from what we've seen so far, I feel that the most improved player has been Bolaños from what we saw last Saturday. But Neil has settled in more. Like Matt said, we've seen all this, the skill level. We've seen that Neil has the ability. It's just, has he been fully connected with the guys around him? And I think after a full season and then a preseason, he is completely in tune with all the guys around him. And now we're seeing him able to really show us all of those skills that we only saw in spurts last year.
Yeah, that's very true. So once again, listeners, if you have any questions, make sure to send them our way and we'll answer them online. Any last thoughts, guys, before we wrap up and get up out of here?
All right. Let's go through our
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting this.
3 stars of the game. Hold on a second. We'll get used to this. Shanir, you want to lead us off? Your 3 players of the game.
Or you 3 players of the game. Let's see. I think I'm good to lead us off. First player, I would want to give it to Bentley, because for me, not only does he play a big role in the goal, he also causes Noko to have to change up their lineup. Some of you have noticed when the lineup sheet came out for the game, Dosso Elise was supposed to be playing on the right. He started the game on the right as a right back and switched to left back because Noko's left back at the time was getting ripped apart by Bentley's pace. And when you cause a team to have to switch things around on the fly, I think that's a very big shout for a key player in the game. 2 points to Terzaghi for me, scoring the goal. And not only scoring the goal, but he also had a couple of great chances in the game, made a nuisance of himself throughout the game. And a 1 point is going to go to Akira for some great saves. really commanding his box pretty well throughout the game. And of course, again, that early on in the game, like within the first 10 minutes of the game, having that amazing save to keep the ball out of the net.
Excellent. All right, I can go next. So, giving my 3 points to the man Emiliano Terzaghi. You get the goal. He was dangerous throughout the game. Had a couple other chances. One late in the first half that the keeper just got lucky more than anything else after he spilled across that ball happened to hit him rather than he saved it. But he was also able to hold the ball. Ease some pressure on the defense at times too. So he gets my 3 points this week. Akira gets 2, just high quality saves throughout the game. Really helped to be able to control the box. Won a lot of balls in the air. Going up in some battles for that. So I thought he had a really strong showing. I gave my 1 point to Jalen Chrysler. He did. Not only did he have the assist, on the goal, I thought he did a really good job in the back, helping to organize the defense. And while Noko had a good number of shots, not a lot of them were overly dangerous. They were kind of your 20, 25 yarders that you'd expect Akira to be able to, take in pretty easily most of the time, which he did. So that's where I'm going with the points for this week.
All right. For me, Akira gets 3 points. Right now, he leads the league in saves, and he had a couple of wonderful saves in this game. I think without him in goal, I think we could have easily conceded 2. The first one I don't blame him for. I don't think that's his fault. 2 points, I'm going to give it to Emiliano Terzaghi just because that's a wonderful goal. The score and the goal celebration was pretty dope. And then 1 point, I'll give it to Mr. Nathan Ani. We've been trying this long throwing thing, and it hasn't been working until now. So I'll give him a point for that, for putting it in the right spot and putting it on Jalen's head, who then put it on Emmy's head. It's like beach volleyball. It all works out.
Awesome. So I like it a little bit more divergent opinions this week after Neil rightfully ran away with it last week.
Oh, yeah.
We will keep track of that as the season goes on to see who is the official podcast player of the year.
We should get whoever wins this. We should get them something, right?
We give them a crappy little trophy.
Yeah, that's true.
Or something better than a crappy trophy.
Give them a picture of all 3 of us smiling. Like, hey.
I think the idea is for it to be something they might actually want.
You're right. It might be a little weird. Guys, it's been a pleasure to do this with y'all as always. It's been a pleasure.
And big question.
What's up?
Will we be seeing Elliott Barr at City Stadium on April 20th?
Yes, you will.
Ooh,
Yes,
good question.
People of the podcast, you heard it.
Yes, you will.
He's actually coming back.
I will be.
You realize if this goes wrong, you will never be allowed in the stadium again.
This is also totally very true. That's what hopefully we win. 4 points, and I come in there and we get upset in the U.S. Open Cup, and I'm like, not my fault, guys. Blame Darren.
But maybe it is.
Probably so.
But also, it's not going to happen, so it doesn't matter.
No. But you know the funny thing is, even the players were in on it. Like Jalen and who was it? It was Jalen, Ethan, and I think maybe Dakota. And they all saw me. They just went like this past me. They was like, That's like, man, you can't be here. I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm really mad.
Yeah.
So it all happens. But
they follow the rules I put out there. They saw.
Yeah. It is it. Yeah. For Shanair, from Matt, this is Elliot. We will holler at you guys next time. Side note, check out the website. It's new. It's up there. Check it out. Yeah, we will holler at you guys later. Be easy and be safe.